So that's Whoopi Goldberg and her regression through comments and apologizing and explaining. But breaking tonight, ABC has suspended her from The View for 2 weeks for controversial comments she made about the Holocaust Monday, saying it was not about race. Calls for Goldberg to be fired have escalated despite her apology. But here we are with the suspension tonight. So let's bring in Fox News contributors Leslie Marshall and Jason Chaffetz. Guys, I want to start with a little bit of a statement from ABC. It says, Whoopi has apologized. This is Kim Goodwin over at ABC. I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities. And put me down as one of those people the cancel thing I think is really dangerous, and people can use it to try to destroy each other. Jason, you feel like it's appropriate here? She's got a suspension. They're talking about her becoming more aware of what she said and of the issue.
Certainly made a very ignorant comment. I will say that in agreement with Jason. And it's interesting, Jason, I hope you're okay with me saying this. Jason and I have a few things in common. Occasionally we'll agree. But Jason and I both have a Jewish parent. We are what's called Meischling. And the reason I say that is one of the things that really bothers me, having relatives who have died in the Holocaust and being half Jewish, half of my family is Jewish, one of my parents is Jewish, is the ignorance and the lack of education regarding the Holocaust. If you had one grandparent that was Jewish, you went to the camps, you went to the gas chambers, you went to the ovens. In other words, Jason and I would have most likely perished along with 6 million of those 11 million in the Holocaust. This was totally about race. They had charts about sizes of nose and chins and facial structures. They had skin colors. There were people, Roma, the Gypsies, who were also put in because they were not considered white. Aryan, the Aryan nation, which the Nazis were all about. This was completely about race and trying to say that Jews were of a different race when they're not. They're of a different ethnicity, specifically Ashkenazis and Sephardic, and a different religion.
Yeah, the Holocaust is one of the darkest moments in all of history, and to discuss it at any point requires enormous sensitivity. And let's hope that everybody can learn from this and move forward. Okay, so we wanted to talk to you guys about COVID, too. Here are the latest Monmouth poll numbers on how the president is handling COVID. He's now upside down. Good job, 43%, bad job, 53%, and that is a huge flip from a year ago, Jason. What can this administration do at this point to make any changes?
Well, Joe Biden said he had a plan, but if you look at his Health and Human Services Secretary, Becerra, what have they actually done? I think most Americans would struggle. We're still fighting about masks. Will they work? Do they not work? Do lockdowns? There's a study out said no, they really didn't do much there. I mean, thank goodness we had a vaccine that was helpful to a lot of people, but the Biden administration, until they fire Fauci, get rid of Becerra, they have a wholesale change of the leadership there in Health and Human Services. I don't think America will trust what they're doing and how they're doing, and I don't think Biden and Harris have 1 ounce of credibility with the American people left at this point.
Well, and there's a brand new study out of Johns Hopkins that talks about lockdowns, which were those are some of the things that have been the most difficult for families and school kids and people trying to work and keep businesses running and all kinds of other things to keep their lives going. Essential workers showing up, doing their jobs. Here's what the Washington Times says out of this Johns Hopkins study. They're quoting the researchers. We find no evidence that lockdowns, school closures, border closures, and limiting gatherings have had a noticeable effect on COVID-19 mortality. They went on to say they have contributed to reducing economic activity, raising unemployment, reducing schooling, causing political unrest, contributing to domestic violence, and undermining liberal democracy. Overall, Leslie, what they said is those lockdowns were devastating and net negative.
Well, first, one of the things that we know about this or any medical situation, this virus, which is new, is it's fluid. And at the very beginning of this, people were panicking, whether it was presidents, former President Trump behind closed doors, or governors or mayors of cities across the country. And they just wanted to keep their citizens of their state and the citizens of this country safe, and people didn't know what to do. And so what they did is they did a lot of what we saw in other countries. We saw Italy, other countries had this first, South Korea, locking down, China locking down, Spain, Italy, France, the list goes on. So I think we we were kind of copying a lot of what the rest of the world was doing, especially because in some places like Vietnam and South Korea, for example, it seemingly at the time very effective. But now we have seen this virus mutate, and there's been so many different things. But I want to say one thing to Jason's point. You have over 2/3 of the American public, actually 3/4, 75% of the American public have at least one shot in the arm. You have 500 million tests out there on top of 400 billion tests that you can go online and you can order and you can have delivered to your home. You have masks being distributed. We're learning more about masks. We know that the N95 and the KN95 now are more effective than cloth masks or the little paper mask. So I think that one of the reasons that this administration, I think anyone, quite frankly, be getting such a bad rap is because that's what people are seeing. They're frustrated. They see things change, and they're not seeing COVID go away because we're not sure it ever really will truly fully go away.
Well, and I think when they hear different explanations and admissions that not all the information is given to the American people because we're not sure, they're not sure we can handle it, I think you're right. There's going to have to be some public trust rebuilt in a lot of these agencies and institutions. Leslie and Jason, thank you both.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.